I want to get this thing fixed, and I want to vote for pro-growth tax reform that makes American businesses, all American businesses, competitive globally. That's just a table stakes issue. And the folks who wrote the framework realized that in making businesses globally competitive, we can't leave anybody behind, which is why they came up with a 25% rate for pass-throughs. The problem is neither the House or the Senate version really honored that commitment to pass-through businesses, which I would argue are a huge engine of economic growth and innovation in our economy. So right now, according to my numbers, using JCT scores, 82% of the business tax relief goes to the C Corps, 4% of the big companies. I got nothing against big companies, but only 18% go to pass-through entities. So I can't even get the information on the details of that. So I'm looking for, again, I'm looking for help to get this thing fixed.
I'm going to talk you down off the ledge, Senator. Because I just, when Senator McCain gave that thumbs down on health care, how did you feel right at that moment? I'm just wondering.
Yeah, Joe, I'm not voting right now. I haven't said I'm an absolute no.
But you know about the no, I got you. That's what I said. Because I know you, and I was just thinking, this guy doesn't seem like the one. Other people are saying you just got reelected, so you got 6 years. That's part of the problem.
Joe, I care deeply about this country. I care deeply about our deficit.
But the perfect versus the good.
No, I'm not going to let.
If we try to think if this is when people are out there and they look at what's happening in Washington and they see like one person have concerns and they think, how do you get 52? It will never happen. Susan Collins, she's got, now that's a different story with her. I have no idea where she ends up, but. That's how hard. That's why people get. That's how people get cynical. Well, we'll find out.
So Joe, here's the problem: is in this process. Don't even know what the Senate version is till last Thursday. Right. The House is voting on theirs today. We're going to be voting on ours right after Thanksgiving. I've been trying to get scores on different provisions for months. Can't get any of them. They say it's an open amendment process, but I can't get a JCT score, which is required to put in an amendment.
Right.
So it is not a real good process. It's not leaving this bill open enough to scrutiny to really understand what's happening. So the very quick summary I did on this bill, I've got concerns when 82% of the total tax relief on business goes to corporations, and we are leaving pass-throughs at an economic disadvantage in terms of competition. So again, I want to work with this White House. I want to fix this problem, and I want to pass pro-growth reform, because here's how important it is. Even with the meager economic growth we've had since 2009, revenue has increased to the federal government by $1.2 trillion with meager economic growth. We should be focusing on economic growth. And right now, look, I don't think this tax proposal does that enough.
If you want to change this, it's going to require some pretty significant changes. Are you talking about raising the corporate tax base so that it's closer to what the pass-throughs are dealing with? Or are you talking about trying to come up with another $900 billion to give equal weighting or equally lower the rate for the pass-throughs? I mean, those are two massive moves.
So, Becky, this is how bad this process is. I can't answer the question because I don't have the information on exactly how much it would cost, how many pass-through businesses are really being left behind that really do compete globally. I can't get the information. I've been asking. They don't give it to me. I got a call from President Trump last night. He's telling me I'll get the information. I'm going to meet with Treasury officials today. I will work my tail off over the weekend to fix this problem so we can move forward with a pro-growth tax
just
reform.
Looking at the numbers, $1.3 trillion in tax cuts to corporations, only $362 billion for those smaller businesses that are pass-throughs. So if you want to equalize that, you've either got to take from what the corporations are getting, or you got to come up with another $900 billion that you would give for that, and that is going to bust the budget. So again, you may not have the very specifics, but you know that there are going to be some big moves that this would require to make you happy based on what you're saying right now.
Now, listen, there may be some large moves, there may not. So I need the information before I can really express an opinion. All I'm saying is right now, I know that pass-through businesses, the innovators that employ hundreds of people, that create all kinds of jobs, are being left behind, and I want to fix that problem.
Senator, one of the things that we've all been trying to understand is actually how the pass-throughs would affect both folks at the most upper income and then farther down the chain. Most of the numbers that I've seen suggest that the majority of pass-throughs, even at a 25, are already paying a 25% rate, and so those that would actually benefit would be at the highest end. So you'd be taking people in the 1%, if you will, and bringing their tax rate down. Does that?
Well, First of all, is those larger, more successful pass-throughs that compete globally, that employ a whole lot more people than the smaller businesses that already are paying less than 25%. They're already getting a tax break. That's why NFIB is on board. So again, I don't have the breakdown of how many pass-through businesses really in that upper echelon that are being put at a huge disadvantage. You know, prior to Obamacare, the differential between the top marginal tax rates passed through C-Corps was 4.6%. Obamacare drove it to 8.4. The Senate bill takes it to 16 to over 17%. That differential. That's what I'm talking about. That's the problem. That's what has to be fixed.
Senator, your opposition to this bill is new to us, but as you've made the point, you've been working to try and get this changed for months and months behind the scenes. Since you've come out publicly and said this, have any other senators, any other Republican senators come to you and said, yes, I have problems with it too?
Oh, I've been talking to my colleagues nonstop. Particularly since yesterday, but even before that. No, there are a lot of people who have concerns. Again, guys, I'm not going to let my version of perfect be the enemy of a good pro-growth tax package. We can do better than this. I'm going to do everything I can to tell and force your vote to do it.
The process
I do have time.
Yeah, and you're midway, you know, you got to do the reconciliation, you know, you got to reconcile the two bills and all that stuff. Let me ask you this, Senator, just changing subjects a little bit. What was the calculus in the Senate that got this Obamacare thing back in there? I can't imagine that. I mean, you know, I would say
$338 billion.
Yeah, no,
not even calculus. It's just one number.
But like, I would think that, hey, this must indicate that someone's turned, or that they can talk someone into it, or that something's changed. But I saw the previous attempts where that's what I thought, because they were going to bring it to vote, and it never really was. You know, as it turned out, it never really was doable. You think it's doable this time in the Senate?
Yeah, I think it is. And by the way, I'm one of the guys. I'm one of the guys that wanted to put instructions for help so we could do the Graham Cassidy-Haley Johnson bill together with this. That was utterly rejected. But what we found out is, in the math, again, we constrained ourselves to the $1.5 trillion limit, which I thought was foolish, because economic growth, as I just described, does so much more in terms of revenue generation. But we constrained ourselves, and we can't even make these things permanent without a little bit extra room in the $338 billion wacky number. And that is a wacky number. That's a CBO score. I think just the reality.
What are you building another bridge to nowhere or something up in Alaska? Who turned?
No, I think just the reality situation. If we want to make this tax reform permanent, we need that extra revenue, and let's use it. I mean, we've had these wacky CBO scores used against us. Let's use it to our benefit one time.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.